Where are you? Where are you now? Well, let me put my glasses on so I can see where you are. I'm going to invite you to play along with me this morning with the Where Are You game. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to, when you're least expecting it, I'm going to say, where are you? I was going to say something like coochie coochie, but I was like, no, that doesn't seem like the right thing to use, but it would be fun, wouldn't it? Where are you? How many of you think that ministers have it all figured out before they get up here? This topic came to me about 2 months ago, and I tell you, if you ever want to learn a lesson, pick a topic to teach about. Back in September, the Unity World Day of Prayer theme this year was Peace in the Midst. And, of course, that's always a good topic, peace in the midst. And who knew that after, that theme was chosen, we've had hurricane after hurricane after hurricane. And, how do you possibly bring peace into the midst of something like that is that catastrophic? It's those lessons that we experience in life that give us the greatest opportunity to learn how to be here now. Now, I've been picking this thing apart for a couple of months now. That's what I do. And I was like, okay, how do you truly be in the moment? The moment. Okay, look at my watch, clicking off the seconds. Okay, well, that one's gone. Well, can't be here now. All right, well, that one's gone. Can't be here now. And it just, okay, so it's like there's no way to truly be in the moment as in time, as the time as we define it. Seconds on the clock. There's no way that we can physically do that. No way we can mentally do that, I don't believe. I mean, there may be some yogis that can, I don't know, but I can't stay in this second because it keeps moving. So when I started thinking about what does it mean to live in the moment, to be in the moment, I thought, that means a lot of different things. It means to not only be in this room. Where are you? Right? Okay. Right. It means to just be in whatever is going on in my life right now. So I thought, well, that makes it maybe a little bit easier to understand what is going on in my life at this point in time. Is it just one thing? No. Is it just two things? No. There's usually a lot of different things that go on with us at any given time, right? So how do we pick and choose? And then I started thinking about the question of what state are you in? And if you were to answer that question right now, what state are you in? Okay. Chaos, Alabama. So you get, depends on what your definition of state is, right? Okay. And I like to play with ideas and thoughts, and even if I'm thinking about the physical geographic state that I'm in the state of Alabama at this time. And is there another state right now, a geographic state, that if you had a choice to pick, where would you be state-wise? Just pick one. Florida, Hawaii, okay? So a lot of different answers would come to mind. And then I would ask you, what does that state represent to you? Represent sunshine, warmth, beach, fun times, easy living, family, exactly, home, There are a lot of different things that those states represent. about where you might be. So what if we were to bring that in to our state of mind? What state of mind are you in right now? You don't have to answer that, but think about that for yourself. What state of mind am I in right now? What state of mind would I like to be in? And I like to think of this, when I do this exercise, I like to make it a very physical exercise. So if I'm right now, whatever state of mind I'm in, okay, there may be a lot of things swirling around in there. Usually I have lots of squirrels and monkeys running around up there, and I have to try to reel them back into the moment. But so that may be where I am currently. And then if I want to be in a different state of mind, maybe peace and serenity and calm, joy, compassion. I want to physically move myself. So how do we actually do that to get ourselves from one state to another if there's all this in between? But typically what we do, we start over here and then we run over here. Well, okay, I'm here for a second. Oh, wait a minute, I'm going to run back over here because everything starts, coming to mind about what I need to do this week. I've got a whole list of things that need to be taken care of, and so here I am back in this state again. And it's like, oh, that wears me out. So then I might want to move back over here, and I might usually, well, not usually, I won't say usually, but sometimes I'll have one foot in this state, and then I'm trying to have the other foot in that state. So what happens when we're running back and forth and back and forth? And this state over here is always calling to us, this state called condition, circumstance. These are the circumstances of my life. But these, you don't understand. I've got all these conditions going on right now in my life. And, and here's my, here's my to-do list. And you just don't understand how much pressure I'm under. And you just don't know what life is like. And how can I possibly be anywhere else but this? Because this calls to my attention, and this is pulling me and saying, take care of all of these things. So where does that leave us spiritually? Where does that leave us internally in our hearts? Do we have any time or energy left over for all the things that we would like to be? So let me invite you to do a little exercise right now and just think about what you would like to be today. I found this little notebook I picked up a while back, and it says stuff to do on the front. And I thought, well, this would be great to help organize my life. Look, it's mostly blank. There's not much in there. I wrote one thing on the front page I thought that was a great idea, but didn't get too far with that. Someone suggested that instead of making a to-do list every day, that I create a to-be list every day. So I marked out the word do on the front. You can't really see it, but I wrote be next to it. Stuff to be today. And I wrote in one column, I thought, well, I'm going to try this. So I'm just going to try it on. Somebody suggested it. I'll try it. To be today, trusting, knowing, loving, compassionate, kind, forgiving. Now that list may change every day. And then in the next column, at the top of the column, I wrote when, with a big question mark. When am I going to be those things? To being and doing are two different things. Doing is all the busyness that we do over here in this state. Being is when we just show up and be it. It takes action to be. For example, at the end of this month, Halloween's coming up. And how many of you like to really get into Halloween, dress up as characters? Or maybe you did that as a kid. You may not want to admit that you do it now. We won't look. But to be a character. I remember when I was growing up, I would always just make stuff up. I didn't have too many costumes growing up. I usually made my own. And one of the best characters that I ever got into was actually when I was an adult at work for a Halloween party one year. And I started looking around to see what kind of things I had to use. And I found, some white hairspray, and I found some old teeth as in a costume pack for Halloween. And, and I started putting all this together and created an old man. And I still have the pictures to prove it. And I dressed up as this old man, and I was having so much fun doing this. I went to work, and they didn't know who I was. I was so into that character and being that character that it took a little while before anybody recognized who I was underneath all of that. But I had to, in order to be convincing, I had to be. So for me, that meant, all right, so what would it look like? What would it feel like to be in that, state? And how would they talk? How would that person talk? And how would they, what kind of things would they say? And so I really got into that and created that character and became that character. So it's like that with anything that we want to be, we have to put it on. Put it on. Maybe one of the things that you would like to be is confident in, even if it's a given situation, maybe there's something that you're facing and you want to be confident in that situation. So how do you get out of this scared place over here of biting your nails and shaking and sweating and, all the things that happen when we get scared and nervous? How do you get from that state to this state over here of being confident? So you say to yourself, what would a confident person sound like? What would a confident person look like? How would they look physically? How would they sound? How would their voice project? And you just put it on. It doesn't mean you have to believe it yet. You just step into it like you step into any character. And you just be it. It's kind of like faking it till you make it. You just be it. You just be in that self, in that moment. So anything that we want to be comes from trying it on and being in the moment of the experience. If your experience is, I've got to take care of a family member, and your conditioned thinking or your fear self is coming up over here saying, but I don't know how, I'm not ready, I can't do that, it's too much. And you've got all this stuff going on up here. But yet you know that you need to be, you have to be. But over here it's like, but, and all that but language is just going and going, and I can't do it, it's too much, it's too heavy, it's too big. I just want it to be over. Think about any situation in your life, whether it's a situation that you are in right now or a situation that you've been in before. Did you ever find yourself saying, I just want this to be over. I just want to get through this. I just want to be on the other side of it. two things that I have learned in just the last couple of months about allowing myself to just be where I was. When my mother got sick, I was over here and saying, I don't know how to do this. This is just too big for me. I'm scared. I just want to get to the other side of this. I want her to be well. I want my life back. When it came to me at some point in that experience, what if you just sat still? What if you could just be with her right now? If you could just be in this presence and in this moment. And I tell you what I learned in that experience was that I learned, first of all, that I can do this. I learned that I could feel compassion greater than I had known before. I learned that I could experience forgiveness about things that needed forgiving, that I needed to forgive, and forgiving myself. I learned that I had more strength than I ever realized. I learned that I could be kind and patient. And I couldn't have learned all of those things if during that whole experience I was saying, I just don't want to do this, I just can't deal with this, and I just want it to be over, and just keep going, pushing through and plowing through, and if I had stayed focused on that out there when it's all done and said, if I had not been able to just realize in that moment, I could have that shift in my consciousness. I could change my state. And it was willingness. And I had a far better experience. And I'm not saying it was easy and I did that perfectly 100% of the time. But I came through that with that experience of knowing that I can be trusting that God is in this moment with me, as me, showing up and expressing as me to be loving and compassionate and kind and forgiving. So whatever it is that we want more of, or we want to be, or we want to experience, faith, forgiveness, kindness, being more compassionate, being more loving, knowing, all of those things we can begin to experience when we are in this place, in this moment, when we are showing up as our best and highest selves, open to experience right now. Right now. We can do this. So I invite you this week to try making a to-be list every day. Every day. I'll close with a poem. Well, this is actually some poetic prose by James Dillett Freeman, who was the poet laureate of Unity for many years and many other things at Unity during the last century. And it's in a little book called Be. And he says, listen to life, and you shall hear the voice of life crying, be. What shall you be? Be what you were made to be. You were made to be alive. You were made to be joy. You were made to be a child of God. God made you in God's image. The impress of God's Spirit is on your every living cell. For this alone all things were made, to be. Life is not to be explained in terms of aims and ends and goals, but only in terms of living. Life has goals and a goal, but its meaning and worth do not depend on this fact. How shall we explain life in terms of ends? There is no end that is not a starting point. Is it wonderful to be a grown man or woman? It is also wonderful to be a child. The joy of arrival is great, but so is the joy of the journey. Life is made up of wonderful differences and different wonders. All of life is wonderful. Let us not say of one that is more or less than another, but let us find meaning and worth in all. Today is the actualization of all yesterdays, the potentiality of all tomorrows. Today needs no reason for being. It is its own reason for being. Sufficient that is today. Life needs no reason for being. It is its own reason for being. Sufficient that it is life. You need no reason for being. You are your own reason for being. Sufficient that you are. God loves you for what you are, not for what you have done or have not done. What are you? You are God's child. That is your reason for being. Let's close with a moment of prayer. Sweet Spirit, we are so grateful to know that we are sufficient, that we are, that all we have to do is just be as we are made in the image and in the likeness of divine presence and divine being. We are that we are, and we are enough. And so it is. Amen.